to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all guys for subscribing to Stylish Naija YouTube channel, for your love and for your support. I really appreciate each and every one of you that have supported me. I don't take it for granted. If you are new to the channel, you are highly and very welcome. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to Stylish Naija YouTube channel and hit on the bell on the side to get an update whenever I upload a new video. Okay guys, so in today's video, this is actually a subscriber's request. Someone actually sent me this picture to do a tutorial of this, so I'm just going to throw some light into it. So it is an off shoulder or like a strapless a princess dart blouse. So you can see it is actually a basque. I've done a lot of basque on my YouTube channel, but I'm just going to still and show it for the people, for the new people that are coming in. So you can see the picture up there on the thumbnail. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I'll show you how to cut it. It is a very simple process. Like I said, when I say simple, you know it is simple. So if you want to register for our online classes, you can see my number scrolling through the screen. Just send me a message on WhatsApp, and then I'll give you the details of the classes that we have available. So for the measurements that we're going to be making use of, so these are the measurements. I'm just going to do a quick explanations of this measurement right now, so you can see how it works. So this is the bust measurement. So her bust, the bust that I'm making use of for this, I'm making use of a bust 32. So the 32 inches, you divide your 32 into 4, and then we're going to use 8 inches. That's what we will impute on our dress. And then the under bust measurement is 28. You divide it into 4 also, you have 7. And then the nipple point is 7. When you divide the nipple point into 2, you have 3.5. So I'll add half of an inch to it. So I wrote it here to make it 4. So it's on the nipple point is 4 inches that we'll add. And then the full blouse length we have 27. And then the under bust, that's from the shoulder to the under bust is 13. And then from the shoulder to the bust point, that's the nipple point, we have 10 inches. And then the waist measurement, that is 30. You also divide that into 4, you have 7.5. So like I said, it is a sleeveless princess dart or an off-shoulder princess dart. That's what we're going to do. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'll fold my fabric, and then we'll impute all of our this measurement that I just explained now. Okay guys, so now we're going to start inserting all of our measurements, and you're going to watch carefully because this is an off shoulder. I'm going to be dropping it with 5 inches. So this is 5 inches here. And then I have my nipple point. So I added half of an inch to it. This is optional. So you can see what I have, half of an inch, that's 10.5, 13.5. And then my half cut is 18 inches. And then my basque, like I said, my basque, so I just added about 8 inches to it. So I have my full length right now, which is about 27 inches for my blouse measurement. So these are the measurements that we need. So the next thing we're going to add now, we're going to insert our shoulder measurement. Because it is an off shoulder, I'm going to come to this point like this. You know, we drop with 3 inches, so you put that into consideration. So the next thing now, I'm going to do the neck line measurement. Okay, so the shoulder that I'm making use of for this, the shoulder measurement is 13 inches. So when you divide 13 into 2, we're going to have 6.5 inches. So that's what we use here. So because it is an off shoulder, I'm going to come like this. Normally I'm supposed to mark my 6.5 here like this. But because it is an off shoulder, I'm going to reduce it by 1 inch. So I'll mark 1 inch here. So I'm still going to add just a little bit of like half of an inch or quarter of an inch just to stitch it here like this. So always reduce your shoulder measurement so it does not fall off. So from this point now, I'm going to go ahead. I'll mark my armhole. So for the armhole, I'll use 8.5 inches. So I'll mark it like this now. And then I'm just going to go ahead. I'll just put a little curve here like that. So you can see that's your armhole. You know, normally when it comes like this, that's your full armhole. And then from this point now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to mark my neckline. So always put into consideration that 5 inches that we took off. Depends on how deep you want your neckline to be. So for this, I'll go with 7.5. So I'll come like this. I'll mark the 7.5 here on this point like this. And then from this point, I'm just going to do a back flip like this. So I'll flip it into that armhole area like this. Just bring it down. You can use your pattern cuff for this, but since I'm making use of a free hand, I'll just show you how to do it with a free hand. And then you just curve it backward into that shoulder measurement, and then you blend it into this point. So we're done with the neckline. So that is how simple it is. The next thing we are going to do now, we're going to insert our measurement. So I'm going to come to this point. You remember, we're going to mark our dart. So for the dart, I'm just going to go ahead. I'll use 4 inches as I've explained before. So you just mark the 10, the half, you mark it on all of the lines. So this is my bust line. This is my under bust. And then mark it like that. Mark it to this point. And then you are going to come to your armhole area like this. So that armhole area, you mark how many inches do you have left here now. Mhm. So from this point now, I have about 3 inches. So I'll just take half of that 3 inches. And then that half of that 3 inches from this point like this, I'm going to blend it into those points like this. You see how simple it is to do the off shoulder, uh, to do it. I'll blend it into this point. So because I want it to have little bit of cups, I'm going to come here now to my under bust line. I should have labeled them. This is the waist and then this is the bust point. I'll come to this point. I'm going to use 2.5 inches. That 2.5 inches is going to serve as my dart. So I'll mark the 2.5 inches here like this, on this under bust point like this. So from this point now, I'm just going to do a very neat curve. Just, you see, I'm just kind of like blending it into that 2.5 inches. Make sure that it is not sharp. You understand? You blend it in like that, simple, and then from this point like this, you are going to take that 2.5 inches down. But most times what I normally do, I usually don't take my 2.5 inches down. I will normally reduce it. At times I can reduce with even 1.5 inches or 2 inches. It depends on what I want. So I'll just do 1.5 inches. So from this point like this, I'm just going to go ahead like this. This actually gives it that shape. If you notice the shape, that distinct shape that it has there, I'll mark this. So this is all for it. So we've added our dart. So the dart is on one side. We did not share it on both sides. So that's that. The next thing now, we're going to start taking our full body measurement. So the full body measurement, for the bust measurement, just like I explained earlier, we're going to use 8 inches. We've already done the division. So you mark the 8 inches here like this. And then I'm going to add my stitching allowance. So I'll add about 3 inches or 3.5 inches. I always like adding enough allowance when I'm sewing. So I'll mark it here. And then for the under bust, I'm using 7 inches. I'll come here. This is my 7 inches here. Remember this 2.5 inches that we took out. You add that back into your measurement so it does not get truncated. And then you add about 2.5 inches or 3 inches, depends on what you want on it. So you have that. And then for the waist measurement, we're making use of 7.5, just like I explained earlier. You mark the 7.5 here. And then remember this point, you check what you have. You know we have reduced it. So we have 2 inches here. That's what we took out for the dart. You bring it back. And then you add your allowance. So add the same 3 inches allowance. So from that point like this, you are just going to go ahead like this and mark it like this. And then for the hip measurement, you know this hip is the, since it is a bust, that down part. So always put that into consideration. So for the hip, I'm making use of 10 inches, which is 40. You add that 40 inches and then check what you have here, 1.5. You insert that 1.5 and then you add your stitching allowance. So I hope you can see what I did. And then from this point, you mark this like this to this point. So for the basque, you are going to come to the waist part. Depends on how deep. If you notice, it's not those kind of sharp bars. That's not those kind of bars that went up too much. So what we are going to do now, from this point like this, we're just going to come down a little bit with about 2 inches, and then from that 2 inches I'm just going to blend it into this point like this. So you can see, if you want to take it to the waist part, you can take it, but it's better this way. So you just mark it. So the back and the front has a basque. So you see, so you can see our princess dart blouse. So I hope you understand what I just did. I'm just trying to double check it, so look at it from your own side. So we'll go ahead and cut out right now. So because we don't want this part to truncate when we stitch, what we're going to do, we're going to add about 1 inch extra to our pattern like this. That's to the armhole area. Just add it, so when you sew, it will cover up that small slight loss that you're supposed to have. So you can see what we have. So for the back neckline, we're going to do a round neckline for the back. So for the back neckline, you're just going to come to this same point like this. Just mark it. It's the same thing, and then depends on how deep you want the back to be. So from this point, I'm just going to come down. It's about 4 inches, just a little bit lower than this, and then just give it a curve into that point like that. So that's for the back neckline. Just curve it in, and then we'll go ahead now and cut this whole front piece. So just leave that out. Wow, mistake and cut it. You can see what we have. It looks so beautiful. So for the back, I'm just going to go ahead for back. I'll add just my regular waist dart to my back piece. So I'll add my regular dart. So I'll open the front piece now and blend up all of the points. So I'll cut out the neckline. So you can see what we have right here. So you can see our off-shoulder princess dart blouse. So for the down part, for the down part of the blouse, if you want to add that plate around, you are just going to cut it like a flea. After stitching, just measure what you have here, and then you just cut it. You can decide to cut it like a flea, but if you cut it like a flea, it's going to be too full. So you just use a normal straight fabric. You just split it together and then fix it around the waistline. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I hope this video was helpful to someone. So thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. God bless you.